Flosstube, welcome to Snickerdoodle Stitch. My name is Kathleen and this is a channel about cross stitch. If it's your first time here visiting, thanks so much for stopping by, and for everybody who's returning, a huge thank you to all of you. Thank you also to everybody who left comments wishing me well recovery for my surgery. I would say at this point I'm like 90% recovered. I went back to work a little over a week ago. The first few days back were a little rough, but it was only a few days, and then we had the long holiday weekend, and over the weekend something just clicked and I felt like 90% back to normal then. I actually like cleaned out a closet and got some stuff together for Goodwill, and had a productive weekend. Spent some time with family. Didn't get as much stitching done, but still I have a lot to show. And I also have the winners of my Flossaversary, that's a tongue twister, my Flossaversary giveaways. I am going to put those at the end of the video so that anybody who didn't watch the last video isn't sitting here watching me call out winners when they weren't in the running for them. I'll put a chapter break so you can skip to that and find it if you want to go specifically to that at any point. And I will also reply on the comments for the winners. So I need the winners to email me. My email is snickerdoodlestitch@gmail.com. I'll put it in the notes below as well, along with the winners' IDs, because some of them I think I know how to say them so that you'll know it's who I'm calling out, but I'll put that in below as well. But let's start out with my stitching. And I have an FFO, and it was a start. So this has been in my stash for quite some time. It's Luminous Fiber Arts. It's called Stitcher. And you guys know I love red. You can see plenty of it here behind me on the bed here with my quilts and stuff. So I've been wanting to stitch this for a long time, and I kitted it up for one of the things I kitted for when I was on my medical leave and had tons of time to stitch and got bored out of my mind. I thought 2 weeks of watching TV and stitching sounded like heaven, and it was for about the first week, and then I had it with TV. I had it with the sofa. But I did stick with the stitching, at least till I went back to work. But I've been wanting to stitch this for a long time. I did go ahead and kit it up. And my friend Lana, who is a Silly Notion Stitcher, she actually just stitched it. She did it in some pretty like watermelon pinks. It might have been watermelon. I think Classic Colorworks or General Arts, one of them, Classic Colorworks, I think, has a floss called watermelon, and it's kind of what hers looked like. She says on her video, I think, what she stitched it in, but it's not red like this. So I did mine red on white because I would like to do one wall in my dining room that is just white pieces stitched with red. Sorry, this card dropped in there. Okay, I don't need it anyway. I'm trying a different setup, and I'm not sure right now how well I'm gonna like it, but anyway, I want to do one wall that's all red on white pieces. Susan Aki, and it's Yard Girl something. I'll have to look it up. She's on Instagram. She is a designer for Aurifil and Aurifloss. She has a wall above a bench with these really cute red and white, I think like quilted pieced pillows, and then it's all white pieces with red stitching framed in white, and I love this wall, so I would love to emulate that. But so far I only have 2 pieces finished. One is close to finished, and they're all fairly small, and this is the only one I have framed. But I did get this done. I stitched it with Tulip. So it's silk. It is from, let me think, I don't have the card for this one, and I don't know why I don't. Oh, here it is. It just fell in. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Silks for You, PR 126. And this is stitched on 32 count weight linen. The frame is actually one that's a collage frame to hold 3 2x3, you know, like the wallet photos that you would get in school in your photo package. It's a photo frame that was matted to hold 3 of those, and it's the perfect size. It's almost the exact same margin on the sides as it is on the top and the bottom. So really happy with that. Hers she stitched on more like a flax natural kind of linen, so she had white buttons. White buttons weren't really going to show up on here, so I put red buttons on mine. And other than that, it is stitched exactly as charted. She used Gloriana Poinsettia on hers, and that is my favorite variegated red, but I want to kind of mix it up for that wall a bit. If this ends up on the wall, this is a table easel frame, so mine is Silks for You PR 126. I have an entire hank that I bought of that. The shipping from Australia is actually very reasonable, and it comes very quickly. So I ordered a few hanks. I got a hank of white, a hank of this, and a hank of a dark green, which again, anybody who's watched my videos before, I often wear that particular dark green. It's my favorite color. It's that square right there. That's my favorite color. But that's Stitcher. So that is my FFO that I have this week. And I have some finishes. I actually have multiple finishes. They're just not FFO'd yet. So this next one is Jeanette Douglas Designs Chubby Bee. I stitched it on 36 count XG Designs Old Sheep, and I think this one just came out at Market, and I just love that little bee, the chubby bee I love. So I got it stitched and finished, and I started FFOing it. So here it is finished. I can get it straight. So it's 1 strand over 2 on the 36 count, and it is in all of the called floors. The only thing, the black, other than, so the body of the bee, not the antenna or the legs, but the body of the bee and the little hole in the beehive, I did use 2 strands of floss for those, because you can see from the little legs that the black really, the fabric shows through the black a lot, and I wanted it to look solid. Everything else looks solid. So I did use 2 strands for that. And then what I've done here is I cut a piece of mat board in a hexagon shape, and I've just stretched it around that, because I got this little hexagon at Michael's, 99 cents. It's in the stuff kind of in front of the register. I think all of the Michaels have stuff like in front of the register, not like when you're walking, not when you're actually in line to pay, but if you were facing the registers, it would be right in front of you. You would be facing it, is where every Michaels that I've been in has them, but it's kind of their dollar spot, but everything isn't a dollar. But these were 99 cents. And I had something else I was going to use to finish this, and then when I saw that, I thought, ooh, I think that will be the right size, and it will be. It's going to be perfect. So my plan is to paint this yellow, and then you'll notice the hexagon is actually a little bit smaller than the opening, because I want to paint this yellow and then put some, mount this inside, and then either put some chenille little dot pom-poms or some black cording, something black around it just to make it stand out. I had another piece that I bought. So when I was toward the end of my 2nd week of recuperating at home, I did go to Hobby Lobby one day. I was just bored out of my mind, and I was allowed to drive. My only restriction I was given was if it hurts, don't do it, and don't lift over 25 pounds, which I said, yeah, that's not going to be a problem anyway. I don't have a cat anymore. I lost him a couple years ago, so that was the last time I regularly was lifting things more than 25 pounds, and that was for the tubs of kitty litter. But anyway, in their spring shop, so the stuff they put out seasonally, they had it on clearance, and this was $3.99, but then I think like 75 or 80% off. So I had bought this thinking I would put the bee on there. It's the right colors, it would be perfect, but it's a skosh too small. It would have fit top to bottom, but I would have had to have mounted it side to side so none of the yellow would have shown. And I have a couple other bee patterns. In fact, I just got one. So I'm going to do one of them to go on here. And then when I would have made this work, but then when I saw this at Michael's and it was 99 cents, it just screamed that it had to have a bee in it. So I will be showing this when it's FFO'd. My plan is to get it finished maybe this weekend. I think I'm going to give it to my dad along with his Father's Day gift. So my dad used to raise honeybees until his back deteriorated to the point that, so when you raise honeybees and they're in those white boxes that you'll see out in the field, and there are tray upon tray stacked, and each of those trays has all these things that slide in with honeycomb on them for the bees to start to build out the honeycomb and fill with honey. And those trays are like 50 pounds each when they get filled with honey. So my dad can't lift that much anymore. And nobody who can lift wants to help with honeybees. So he doesn't have honeybees anymore, but he did have honeybees and he loves honey still. So I think I'm going to give this to Dad and he can hang it in the kitchen or something. But I'll be showing it once it's FFO'd. All right, this next one, or two actually, Cotton Pixels. They had Gardner's cat that came out at Market, and I already had Stitcher's cat. So I decided to stitch both of them. They're very similar kind of look, feel. It's the same kind of cat, and they were interesting stitches. So I'm going to show Gardner's cat first and then Stitcher's cat. And they are both stitched on 32 count Grace Notes Evan, which is a really nice pale blue. But this is Gardner's cat. Now what you can't tell looking at the pattern is that there's actually a lot of beading on there. So the red flowers are all beaded. The cat on there is beaded. These little flowers are beaded, and there's some greenery in there that's beaded. There's quite a bit of beading on here. I did most of the beading. I did not bead the cat. I beaded everything else that was called for to be beaded, and I just didn't want my cat to be beaded. But here he is all finished, and you can see, so they have you do something interesting with these flowers up here. If I can get it to show up, I'm not sure you can tell on camera. Maybe if I tilt it to the side. What you actually do is you do a long stitch with 3 beads on it, and they tell you there's 2 different size red beads, and they tell you which to like to use, 2 small, 1 large, 2 small, 1 large, or what combination to use for each of the flower petals. And then when you go down through the fabric, they have it figured out so that when you go down, it actually kind of humps up a little bit. So it's very dimensional, and I can't really, I guess maybe you can kind of see that way. But they were fun to do. It was a quick stitch until I got to the beading. But that's Gardner's cat. And it's finishing about 3.5 by 3.5 on the 32 count. So it's not terribly big. Things falling over here. This was Stitcher's cat. So the Stitcher's cat pattern actually comes with the tiny little embroidery hoop. What is hard to tell on here is that there are a lot of specialty stitches, and again, the black cat is fully beaded. I did not bead the cat, but I did all of the other beading. So I think on my example, maybe you can see the specialty stitches more. So you've got beading to look like the pins on the pin cushion. And then these are little red beads in the corner. I think that one got a little loose when I ironed it. I need to fix that. But what you can't really tell on the pattern is that everything over here are specialty stitches. So at the top, you've just got some cross stitches in that band, and then below that is stem stitch, and then you've got the white star looking motif as a heart hanger stitch, and then you've got black work, and then long cross stitch, and then, well, I don't even know what you would call that next thing. And the big star that's in the yellow. So there were a lot of specialty stitches on here. And then the spools all the way around the edge, those are long stitches instead of cross stitches on those. But it was a lot of fun, but for a small, more time consuming than you would think. Because I did have to keep referencing the directions to see what the heck they wanted me to do over there on the side. So this is silly looking. This is also specialty. I'm going to show you a replacement one. So I did this one first, and then I was like, that rose, that's to be a rose, looks pitifully small in the hoop. So I did a second one, which is more the size that is in their pattern. So for the rose, you do 5 long stitches in green. Let me see if I can get it to focus if I cover my face, maybe. You do 5 long stitches in green, and then you, yeah, it's not really showing up on camera very well. And then you weave over, under, and go around, and you pull it a little bit, and that makes it kind of puff up. But you don't pull it too tightly. But that's how that's how you make the little rose. I can't think what that is called. I've seen it done in embroidery. But it will go up here. Whoops, no, this side. It's hard working backwards. There, it'll go there. So when I do the FFOing, I will figure out how I want to attach it, probably stitch it down using the top. Luckily, because I did stitch that one and I glued it all in, and then I looked at it and I went, this looks ridiculous. This little red dot doesn't look like anything. That's way too small. But I had bought some tiny hoops on Amazon, and they came much smaller than I expected, and they are exactly that size. So I was able to make a new one. So that was fun. This next one I showed last time, but I was excited about something, so I had to share it. It's the Stacy Nash bobbin, part of her Animal Cracker series. So I had it finished last time, and I was on a mission. I almost bought a spool on Amazon, and it was brown. I was going to have to paint it red and everything, and then I thought, well, maybe I'll wait. I'm going to do some antique shopping, hopefully in June, up in central PA, and maybe I'll look for a bobbin there. And then one day I glanced over at the cabinet that's right in front of me now. It's got some stitchy things on it, some pins, and I don't know, it's some miscellaneous stitching stuff. And I saw this spool sitting there. So this spool, this is bias tape, like a fancy crocheted edge, little daisies on it. Bias tape made by Riley Blake. It's a Lori Holt, I think. Tiny, yeah, bleep be in my bonnet. It's Lori Holt. Tiny daisy bias tape, and I've had this sitting on that cabinet for quite some time. Well, this spool, lo and behold, is the perfect size. So I'm going to take off the bias tape. It doesn't need to be stored on here. It's been cute sitting there, but it will be cute like this too, sitting there. So I want to take off the bias tape and put some red paint on there and do a little bit of distressing similar to that, and then I have this piece ready to fully finish this. So I'm hoping to do the FFOing this weekend. I didn't really feel up to FFOing when I was out on leave, and then last weekend with the holiday weekend, like I said, I I probably overdid it Saturday. I was cleaning out a closet. I was really just trying to get my sandals out of like the far reaches of the closet to the front and get the boots in the back. Only then that became a whole thing, because then I was like, why do I even have some of these shoes? I don't go to an office anymore. And I haven't gone to an office in, not on any regular basis, in at least 9 years. I worked from home for a few years prior to COVID. So I still have a lot of corporate clothes, and on top of not going to an office, we're corporate casual. So even if we do go into the office, everybody has jeans on. So I really live in much more casual shoes. Now, if I went to headquarters for a business trip, I would usually take some dressier shoes, but those occasional trips don't warrant me having like 20 black pairs of dressier shoes. So the closet became a whole thing. So I overdid it Saturday, I think. So then Sunday I wasn't feeling great. And then I went to my brother's house to spend some time with family for the day. So I just didn't feel up to doing FFOing last weekend. But back to stitching. Enough about me. This next one is Blackbird Design. Why don't I have the pattern out? Strawberry Fields Forever. And I am doing it on 32 count Lakeside Navy Bean. So this is the pattern. I've had this in my stash for a long time. I started it last year, and it was one of the things I pulled to work on while I was laid up. And sorry, I got something out of order here and I'll have my notes messed up. I am doing it in the Vicki Clayton silk conversion, which you can buy directly from Vicki Clayton. And I actually just ordered from her, and I haven't gone to get the mail, but I think it arrived today. Or Garon Stitchery has the packs. So she's done all of the conversion work. Now, it's not a perfect conversion, but again, hers are overdyed silks and they're variegated, and the called for is overdyed cotton floss, which is also variegated. So, you know, it's close. So what I got done on this, I had sort of this upper corner done. I didn't have all of the red berries done, but I got it finished, and this whole side, and then these random things you see in the middle, that was really just me finishing off using floss that I already had in my needle from doing the border. And then I just looked for something that would be easy to count off of from the border to use up the rest of the floss. Because the floss comes on spools, so I have it, I did change what I have it in. I have it in a bobbin keeper, but it's kind of, you couldn't like wind a little piece of floss back on the spool. If you've separated it and you've used two strands of your length, it's easy to wind the 4 strands back on there, but it's just easier to use up what I already had off. So I'm really happy with the way it's coming out. I do love the Lakeside linen. I think this is the first thing I stitched on Lakeside. And it is a nice linen to stitch on. So I would have gotten more done on this, but I got to the point where I was going to start working on the stone fence here at the bottom so that I would really have my whole outline done, and then from the stone fence it would be really easy to work up into this vase and this house. I gotta be honest, I'm not crazy about the jumbo vase flower thing looming over a house, but I'm gonna stitch this as charted. But when I went to pull out the floss to work on the stone fence, the colors are very different. And here's the problem that I had. I can actually maybe get it to show up. So In the picture, it's a dark, dark gray. The Vicky Clayton conversion calls for coffee bitters, and this is coffee bitters. So I don't know if you can see, but it is brown and gray, which I'm fine with. But also within the fence is Quill Pig, and they look identical to me. And actually the Quill Pig is a skosh darker than the coffee bitters. So I looked on Garon's website and I looked on Vicky Clayton's, and on their sites, coffee bitters looked like it was just dark, dark brown, or with some variegation in it, but just brown. So I did place an order with Vicky Clayton to get another spool of coffee bitters. And then, of course, I had to buy a few other things. I bought her conversion for Twilight, which is one of my favorite colors of floss. And I bought a few reds because I'm always looking for a different variegated red for my red and white wall that I'll have someday. So I'm going to see what that looks like, because I am not sure. So the coffee bitters would be the mortar in the fence. And then some of those bricks are the Quilled Pig or whatever it was called. And they look identical, and I'm not sure there's enough difference in color or lightness, darkness for the mortar to really show up. So I don't know, we'll see. If it arrives and it looks exactly the same, I'm just going to move on with the stitching. But I did move my floss into one of these to keep it. I had them in more like a long skinny bobbin keeper that just, these all stacked in there. The challenge with those, I had two challenges. One, it was hard to get the floss out of the thing, and to get the bobbin to pop out. And then the other challenge was, because they were stacked end to end, you couldn't read the colors. And in this, I can actually read the color, so it makes it easy to pull the right one, because the name doesn't always tell you what the color would be. Like yesteryears? Yeah, yesteryears. What color would that be? It turns out it's this red, but so I put them in here. I got these, a 2-pack on Amazon. I think this is the only project I have in Vicky Clayton silks, but we'll see. All right. This next one you've seen before, and sorry, this is not very exciting. I worked on this one when I was spending the time with family. It's Gifts from My Garden from Hello from Liz Matthews. This is the pattern. I saw it stitched up at StitchCon, I think it was, and I fell in love with it. I love the green around there. That's my favorite color, green. It is boring to stitch all that green, which I should have thought about a little more, but I'm getting close to finish. So what I did this time was a big chunk over here, and then I did finish the scallop edge. So my plan on this now is to put it away, and I'm probably going to haul it out and take it to Stitch New Jersey in July. I could finish it there. It's on 28 count. It stitches up pretty fast doing the green. So probably in a half of one of my days there, if I stitch and don't wander, I can get this finished. And it should fit in, it's either an 8x10 or an 8.5 by 11 frame. So I will frame this one. It will go with my living room. So I got plans for that. All right, this next one is my last stitching. This is the From Toledo to Toledo, which I fell in love with at Needle Fest Extravaganza in New Jersey. And I started on this up here. And last time you saw it, I really just had this very top row. I had the entire top from kind of these dark blue motifs, and there's a light blue here up. and that was all I had done. I was a little disappointed. So the pattern, one challenge with this, it doesn't tell you how, it doesn't tell you how much floss is needed and like how many skeins. And this is 16 by 20. This is a big piece. And I know it's going to require multiple skeins, but how many? And it's overdyed. So there's one DMC in it. The rest are, the other 6 are overdyed. So I did pick up some more overdyed. Luckily, one of the colors in here that's used the most is Twilight, which I mentioned is one of my favorites. So I got some more Twilight, and it's a good thing I did because it's actually lighter and a little more heavily variegated. But I can work it in, like I'll finish with the skein that I have for this piece up here, this band. And then, you know, when I start working in a different band, you know, like this one actually probably has it in it too. Yeah, it does. It's got a lot in it. I will switch and use one of the lighter skeins, and that way it will kind of get worked in. I did get more of a few other colors too, but they look exactly like the ones that I already had. The Twilight actually looks different. Still beautiful, but different. So I got, this is upside down. This would be the top, but I basically got all of this section here done. So this will be that first band, and I'm about halfway finished. This is the halfway mark right here. This is on, what the heck did I do this one? Oh, it's Fiber on a Whim Cream and Sugar. I do know what it is. So this has it has 6 of the 7 colors in it. So there's one other color that hasn't come in yet. And the color is not showing up perfectly there. This is a better color representation of the fabric and the floss. I stitched the Blackbird design. I think it's called Winter is Coming, and it uses several. It has Twilight and Scuppernong. It has some of the same colors in it. I'll bring it in, and actually maybe sometime I'll bring it in and a pillow for my living room so you can see this is the right colors. So that was the end of my stitching. We're really happy with this, but you can see what size this is, and what I'm showing is, you know, it's this corner over here. I've got it upside down on my thing here, but you can see that's a fraction of the size of the piece. So I ordered a Kay's Creation floor stand, and I saw yesterday on Etsy that it should ship tomorrow. So hopefully, it's coming from Texas, so hopefully I'll have it next time and I can show you. Where are we at on time? All right, I've got a little bit of haul to show. Maybe if I can get it out here. So I showed last time that I had ordered a pattern and the floss came, and you guys, ignore my nails that look a mess today. One of the things I did this weekend on Monday, and this week, I fooled around with dyeing fabric, and I need to like soak my nails now. I didn't bother polishing them after surgery because it had to come off before surgery, and I knew that if I felt up to it, I wanted to fool around with dyeing fabric. So I will put a picture in here of my little table in my kitchen where I have a bunch of fabric drying, because it looks very springy and festive. I've had mixed results with the dyeing. I'll show the dye. It needs to fully dry and be ironed and stuff, but I have a whole stack of fabric, and I'll show you next time. But anyway, back to this. I got the pattern. So the pattern is from the Flower a Day collection from Carolyn Manning Designs, and I got the one called Red. She has it in, I think, pink, purple, green, and yellow, maybe not green. I'm feeling like there is a green. So it's the same pattern but different colorways. And sorry, I'm losing my voice. All right, sorry about that. She has it charted in different colorways, and she calls it Flower a Day, and the intent is it's designed for you to stitch a little bit every day. So I may start that as kind of my version of a temperature chart, which I said I wouldn't do again. But that was partly because I got bored with the temperature chart with doing kind of the same motifs, and this is not like that. It's different flowers and things. But that's the pattern. And like I said, it comes in different colorways. It is not terribly big. I think, if I can find it, all right, that's page 3 and 4. Where's page 1 and 2? Okay. Yeah, on 16 count, so like 32 count, it's only 8 1/8 by 8 1/8. So it's fairly small. Yeah, it's 2 full pages and 2 half pages. So it looks like it would be giant, and it's not. It would fit, you know, just a little too big for an 8 by 8 frame. But anyway, I haven't started it, but the pattern came, so I wanted to show that. And then I mentioned that I was in Hobby Lobby wandering around, so I wanted to share some potential finishing things that I bought there. So this was actually in their 4th of July section, and it is $3.99, but then it was like 50% off, so it was $2. And it is a nice size. It's about 5 by 7, but it would be really nice with a flat fold. It could be painted, or it's a teak wood. It's a nice, you know, smoothly sanded wood piece. $2 at Hobby Lobby right now in the 4th of July section, because it's got this little star on it, or Memorial Day, you know, the festive holidays, the patriotic holidays. And then this was in clearance for $1.99. So how cute would that be with something tea or coffee related on it? And I know I have a couple tea related patterns. Now whether they fit or not would be another story, but I could probably figure out how to make that work. So I already got the hanger on the back. So $1.99. And then this, they had all of their, I think, baskets 50% off. So this tray is $5.99 and it was half off, so $3. It's a really nice size. Actually, it's 8.45 by 8.45, so the Carolyn Manning would fit in here perfectly. I may consider that if I do, when I finish the Carolyn Manning, painting this and mounting it in here. I probably would not use this unpainted, but I spray paint everything. So that was my other fun. That was all of my finds at Hobby Lobby. I did buy something on Amazon that I wanted to share because it was not a good purchase. So I use, especially traveling or like going to Dad's, you know, stitching not at home. At home I use the light that has the magnifier on it. Although sometimes if my neck or shoulders or something start to bother me, I'll move the light up farther overhead and use these. But they're magnet clips, and they clip on your glasses, and they will actually flip up when they're clipped on, so you can flip them out of the way. So I wanted to buy another pair because I wanted to keep one in my travel bag and keep one by my stitchy spot. And when I looked on Amazon, they had some that were, how many pairs are in here? I think 6 pairs for like half the price. So these are like $17, I think. And these were 6 pairs for like $11. So I thought I'll give them a try. So It's the same magnification. These are from Cop Kim. The quality is actually nice. They are a nice glass. I could see fine through them. Here's the problem I have and why I'm not likely to use these. So I think I'm going to give them to my dad. The size is significantly different. So these are the ones I use. These are the ones that came. These ones sit, the top of them sits low on the glasses. So when I'm stitching, I can look up, and I have bifocals, they're progressive lenses. So I can have these on and be stitching, and I can still look up and see my television. These completely cover your glasses, so you can't see at a distance at all. So I am not sure how or when I would use these, because even if I'm not watching TV, I'm typically with people and I will be glancing up looking at the person that I'm talking to, and I can't see. I mean, nobody could see through these other than up close. It changes your focusing point. So yeah, either if you look for some off brands, either pay attention to the dimensions, or just stick with paying the extra for the magnet clips, which is what I should have done. I turned around and ordered another pair of magnet clips, and now I got to figure out what to do with 6 pairs of these other things. I probably could sell them at a yard sale individually and get half my money back. I don't know. I can't return them because there's nothing wrong with them. And like I said, the quality is actually decent. They're nice glass, and there's no like bubbles or imperfections in the glass. I looked at a few pairs of them, and I did have them on my glasses looking at things, and the quality is decent, but they won't work for the way I use the magnet clips. All right, where are we at on time? I'm going to show a tiny bit more haul. So I had to order a couple things from Jardin, and so of course I bought more than what I was supposed to be buying. I think I was buying like some specific floss, or it was when I was on leave. I think it was the first day, it was the day I had surgery, so I was probably still drugged up, because there's things, that day is kind of a haze. I had the surgery at 7:30. I was home at 1:30. But I laughed because the post-surgery report, the anesthesiologist has that I was awake and participating. I don't remember ever talking to the anesthesiologist after surgery. I didn't remember talking to him beforehand, but not after. So yeah, I probably shouldn't have been shopping that day, but I thought I was fine. But at least I didn't buy anything that, you know, I'm looking at now going, what the heck? Why did I buy that? When I had my wisdom teeth out years ago, and a friend took me, and they gave me a couple prescriptions that had to be filled. So we stopped at the drugstore on the way home, and I insisted on going in. Well, a couple days later, I called her and I was like, Dorame, why do I have like Car and Driver or Hot Rod magazine, and what are these pens? And she's like, oh, you insisted on buying those in the drugstore. So I shouldn't normally be shopping coming out of anesthesia. But I got Art to Heart, Ho Ho Ho. So Gary had stitched this. He had it in a really pretty white frame, if I'm remembering right. But I love that one. And Art to Heart, pretty sure they design, yes, quilts. They do applique quilt patterns, which is probably what this originally was. And then they've converted it to cross stitch, and they partner with Just Another Button Company on their pieces. So, but it's really cute stitched up. The picture here doesn't do it justice. Gary's finished one is really cool. And then, oh, this is maybe what I thought I had to order. It was Madame Chantilly Watermelon Party. So Gary and Ronnie were doing a walkthrough of things new to the shop, and this was one, and it's these really cute little mice. I love them. And here, this is actually the front, and down here they've stitched just the front part here. with the Love Summer. I don't know if that's, yeah, it's the same. It's just charted differently with Love Summer. So I don't know. I haven't opened it to see like how big is that big slice of that piece of watermelon here that they're all carrying. Because I'm not really excited about stitching all that solid. So I'll see. It may not be as big as what it looks like, or it could be huge, in which case I might just stitch this part like is stitched down here. But I love my maze, so I had to get that. And then I got a couple Nora Corbetts. This one caught my eye. This one is Portrait of Veronica. Actually, it's a Mirabilia. It's not, I mean, Nora Corbett is the designer, but it's branded as Mirabilia. But her dress has that green. That's my favorite green. And I really liked her. So I bought that one. And I got the beads. It only has 3 different beads in that one. Although one set of beads is very tiny. And then I've been working on Gigi. Gigi is close to being finished. I will finish Gigi for this Halloween. So I picked up Anna because I want to do 2 of them and hang them together as a pair for Halloween. These are branded as Nora Corbett. They're a little bit smaller than the Mirabilias typically are. They both have cats in them. I have to decide if I want to do them on the same fabric. My Gigi, she's wearing a dark blue gown, and I have her stitched on Grace Notes Caramel Kiss, or Caramel. It's Caramel something. It's from Grace Notes for sure. And this I think would look good on that same fabric. And if I'm going to hang them together, that might be nice to pull them together, having them on the same fabric. But there's so much fabric. It's fun to use something different, right? All right, I did get the bead pack for that one too, but there's more beads happening for it. Oh, because she's got like a scepter. It looks like this kind of peachy straight, if I could go the right direction. And then she's got a scepter in her arm, and there's some swirls happening over here. So there's quite a bit of beading on her. And then the last thing that I bought, is the Nashville cookbook. And I wanted to spend a minute showing it because if you've never seen one of the cookbooks, almost every designer who is at Nashville has a recipe in here, and they've got a lot of patterns as well. So there's probably, I don't know, 30 or 40 patterns in here. But I wanted to show a couple just so you could see if you've never looked at one of the cookbooks. Some of the recipes look really good. Some of them are ones that I'm like, well, I think everybody probably already has the recipe for a couple of the things that are in here. But I thought I would show a couple of the patterns that have pictures just so you could get an example of what's in here as the patterns. So if I can get it to focus this tiny, this is one from Shepherd's Bush. I have just a couple marked that I thought were really cute. This is one from Primrose Cottage Stitches. This tiny little, and then they've got it finished in a pillow. And then, oh, maybe I just had the 2 marked. My favorite one in here is from Rosewood Manor, and I'm gonna stitch it. It has a bee, but I can't show it because it's just the pattern. A lot of it is just the patterns. There's not a stitched example. I pulled those 2 because there were stitched examples that you could actually see. They've got photos of some of the food, but there are a ton of patterns in here. So when you see cookbook, don't think it's just a cookbook and go, yeah, I don't need another cookbook. There's some fun patterns in these. So all right, drawing winners, yay. let's do that. I've got the stack here. And like I said, I'm going to do my best to say these YouTube login names, but I will also do it in the comments and I will reply to your winning comment. I use the YouTube comment picker for them. So this first pattern was Val's Little Stuff, and it goes to Kim Smith 3045. There's the ID on there. So again, I just need everybody to email me at snickerdoodlestitch@gmail.com with your email address. Little House Needleworks Hometown Holiday Schoolhouse goes to Kathy Dennison 8716, and Kathy was one of my table mates at Stitch North last year. And Kathy, you got to tell me if you went this year, and if you did you see anybody from last year? I'm still like not happy that I didn't get to go. I did register for next year though, so I will be at weekend 2 next year. Sweet Wing Studio Spring Doxology goes to Brenda Johnson 9295. That's this pattern. Jardin Prive Carrot Market goes to Mrsbobbinlacer. That is this pattern. Little House Needleworks ABCs goes to, I think this person won too, Brenda Johnson. Yeah, she won Spring Doxology and this. Brenda Johnson 9295. So that's this pattern. Teresa Kogut Dancing with the Stars goes to Connie Simonich 2327. And Connie, I have your address because Connie won, what did she win? She won something in one of my last drawings, and then the email didn't come through. I forgot on that video to put my email address in the details. And so she left a comment asking how to contact me. I missed the comment. Then I gave her my email address, but the email never came through. So I felt really badly because it took like a month to get it to her. Connie, I have your address. You'll have this next week, hopefully. But that's this pattern. I stitched it on blue. I didn't stitch it on brown because I'm not really a brown person. But and then Madame Chantilly, My Sweet Love, goes to E. Georgette M 7443. That's this pattern, which would be Sweet in the Baby's Room. I did it more as a spring Eastery thing. And then the Margarett Sherry Christmas Cuties pattern, which is from a kit, but it goes to Sunrise 49 738. That's this pattern. I can't wait for winter to come so I get that back out. And then the Isabella's Garden, which I showed last time, which I had just FFO'd, goes to Ineskmieciak. Hopefully I've got that right and didn't butcher it too badly. That's the ID there. I've got them written on the little blue post-it. So that is all of the winners for this round. I'm going to try being better about, like I was doing a couple patterns here and there, and then I sort of lost the thread on that and didn't give any away for a while. So it won't be a year till Flossaversary when I give patterns away again. All right, I think that's everything. Next video, I'll show my fabric that I've dyed and some things that went well and some things that didn't. I have some more haul coming, and I have the stand coming, and I want to get some FFOing done this weekend because I'm now starting to get quite the pile here between the stuff that I finished right before surgery and then during surgery recuperation. So I've got to get some of this finished because I don't like that stuff to get too far ahead of me. So that's my plans for the next couple of weeks, and then yeah, I think that's everything for this episode. So thank you everybody for sticking with me, and I will see you next time. Happy stitching. Bye.